I'm so in love with you. You just hug me and give me warmth. It could took away my pain and you let me feel so safe and peacefully calm.
Hey, it's Serge and welcome to this week's video. Today I'm going to be drawing in my sketchbook and also trying out the Arrtx 80 set of Alp markers. Now, I have done many reviews of Arrtx markers in the past, but those have all been in their Oros line. Basically, the Oros markers have a brush/chisel tip, while the Alp markers have a bullet/chisel tip. So their Alp markers do come in a different packaging than their Oros markers. As you can see, it has this beautiful scenery drawn on it, as well as a handle at the top for carrying. First thing in the box is a little postcard. I think it's super cute. It also matches the design on the outside of the box. Now, this video will not be a fully centered review on the markers, but I will be talking about their quality near the end, so make sure to watch till the very end so that you get the full idea on how these markers work. There are 80 colors in this set, since this is the 80 set of Alp markers. And here is a quick comparison between how they look from the Oros markers that I have from the 90 set. As you can see, the Oros markers are a darker gray color. This is the chisel tip of the Arrtx Alp markers, and on the other side, like I mentioned before, we have the bullet nib. Here's how they both look. I think I like the design of this one slightly better than the Oros markers because I think I like the white color better. But yeah, this is how you can set it up to look like a stand, so you can hold the markers like this on your desk, and I think that's very cool. Now, I am going to be swatching the markers on the swatch sheet that they gave. I did used to swatch them in my sketchbook, but honestly, right now there isn't much of a difference between the swatch sheets and my sketchbook paper, and I think it's a waste to swatch them twice on both. And also, I think that it's a lot more portable if I just swatch it on this piece of paper rather than my sketchbook. Speaking of sketchbook, I'm around halfway through it. I think I got a couple more pages done from the last time, from my last video. And I think it's looking pretty good so far. I think this might be like one of my favorite sketchbooks, although there are also some bad drawings in it, but we all have those bad days. So I do want to start like a question of the video sort of thing, like something art related that you guys can answer in my comments, because I absolutely love reading comments. It's like one of my favorite things to do on YouTube. So this video's question, I decided, is going to be, what is your strongest and weakest medium? Basically, what's one art supply that you pride yourself in using, and what's one that you struggle with a lot? For me, I definitely am most comfortable with using markers, even over digital art, because in digital art, when I use my iPad, there's just so many color options that I haven't gotten used to it yet. So I think it will take some time for me to master color theory digitally. But yeah. I have quite the collection of markers now, and I found so many techniques to use at this point, and it just comes naturally to me right now. On the other hand, something I really suck at using is watercolors. I've never really learned how to use them properly, and if you look at any of my old videos where I use them, you'll see that I never really let their transparency like kind of be a part of them. I always use watercolors like gouache for some reason, and I made it super thick and layered, and like I would barely add any water to them. And I'm pretty sure that's not how you're supposed to use them. Let me know if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you're supposed to layer them like you're using watery layers, but I never did that. So my watercolor drawings always came out like, not the best. Anyways, let me know yours in the comments, and I look forward to reading them. Now, focusing on the markers, I have to say it did take me a little bit to get used to using the bullet nib, especially when I started drawing. I've gotten used to using a brush tip, so it did feel weird at the beginning, especially when I was doing the skin shading to color this drawing, which you will see later on. Also, to explain the differences between both the marker types, a brush tip is more soft and has a variation in thickness. You can use it in both a small and large space, but after a while most brush tips do end up fraying, but overall it is more versatile, whereas a bullet nib is smaller and a lot more solid. You can't really cover large areas with it easily, but it never frays like brush tips do, and I think it is a lot better at filling in smaller spaces. I don't really think one is better than the other, and moreover just depends on your budget, since brush tips do mostly cost more than bullet nibs, and also it depends on your own preferences, like what do you prefer to color. To talk a bit about the drawing, so this is my first time using markers in around 3 weeks since I was very rusty, especially while coloring. The reason for that is because I worked on a single page in my sketchbook, which was like a manga redraw page, for like 2 weeks straight, and I did not color it. I just decided to leave it there shaded with a pencil, which isn't really something I do anymore. So it was actually really fun though. Like, I never worked in grayscale, but it was fun to do that. This took a long time because I was adamant not to move on to another drawing without finishing this, because I knew that if I did that, I'd never finish it. And there was also way too many details in the clothing. If you are curious, I redrew a scene from TBHK Volume 7, since I've been rereading that book like a million times lately. The art style is literally gold. After that, I wanted to design my OCs again, which took another week. It's kind of like a long-term project that I'm committed to, because every few weeks I feel a sudden burst of inspiration to continue designing my OC group after I see some artists on Instagram post about theirs, but then I get burnt out because I suck at character design, and it's very hard for me. So far, I've successfully created Rue and Kai's design. Maya's I am very half-minded about, and I literally change her hairstyle and the way that her hair is dyed every day, because that's literally how indecisive I am. Anyways, this piece does go through a bit of an ugly stage, which you'll see coming up, but I promise it does look more put together in the end. So now, to talk a bit about how the markers performed, I actually really like using them. I did a ton of layering for this drawing, and the markers also blend really well. While it did take me slightly longer to blend in the accent colors that I like using, for example, I usually use purples or blues to add more color to my drawings, the end result was totally worth it. I think my favorite part is definitely the hair, which I'm coloring right now. I was debating what color scheme I wanted to use for this drawing for a while, and I decided I'd make it more brown and pink since I haven't done that in a while. I've been trying to use more saturated and lighter brown colors than what I usually do, and I also use the natural highlight tone for the hair, which I really like the look of. I also decided to add a pink accent color and undertone to it since there was nothing else in the drawing that was like pink to match the hoodie, which you will see me color later on. And I also really wanted to pull the pink together on the color scheme because it was looking more like monotone brownish. So right now you can see me coloring the hair. I am adding purple shadows because I thought that looked the best. I also added some shadows right under the highlights, which I think just makes the highlights pop so much more. I think it just looks so good, and it's a technique that I really enjoy using. The jacket was something that I also layered a lot on. For the undertone, I went in with a super light pinky color since I wasn't sure how dark I wanted to make it, since before this I didn't exactly plan out any of the color scheme. Then I used this technique that I saw some other artists use digitally, where they outline the shadows with a super saturated color in Gaussian blur. Obviously, I can't do that IRL, so I had to like blend and layer a lot to get the effect I wanted. I think I made the jacket shadows really monotone, and it might have looked better if I added more purples or blues, but honestly, it didn't look that bad. Also, I do apologize for like the time jump because a lot of my footage did not get saved because I was not pressing the record button. So you also didn't see me shade most of the skirt. Basically for that, I just used a darker color and a purple to add more depth. It was pretty simple shading, but I do really like how it looked. I also used a more tan color for it. I think one of the things that brought the drawing together was definitely the eyes. They really brought the whole piece to life, and I actually really like how they look, especially the purple color, which you'll see me use for the background later on. Now, as for coloring the plushie, it's definitely the thing I struggled the most with. I almost never draw characters' objects, especially ones with texture. Kind of the point where I was about to give up on the piece and start over because the drawing looked absolutely terrible, not gonna lie. I think what pulled it together was when I colored the eyes like I mentioned before. But anyways, for the plushie, I just layered so much that the marker ink did start to bleed outwards, which doesn't really happen often, but I don't think it's too noticeable after I used the white gel pen to make it blend into the highlights a little bit more. I also went back in and added texture dots with my white gel pen, but that ended up way too hard, so I had to remove it, which was a process in and of itself. I decided to go ahead and draw a purple circle for the background to match with her eyes since the piece is pretty much finished. I never really do a single illustration anymore since I found collages of them is more my style, but I still love the result nonetheless. I want to say thank you so much to Arrtx for giving me the opportunity to try your guys' markers. I had a great time using them, and they worked amazing. If you guys would like to get your own Arrtx markers, like the set that I have here, then look in the description where I will always have them linked. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you also have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!